Welcome to the ECOM Profit Podcast. We are your hosts, Laz Chavez
and Richard Tofeja.
Hey, and today's podcast, we're going to be talking about video games and business. So, what the effects of video games had, at least on us, and our business journey, and if we think we can correlate anything, or if it's just like if there's no correlation at all. I think there's some games that probably had an effect, maybe some that didn't, but we can talk about that on the podcast.
We got Josh coming in here.
Josh, we thought you were in the bathroom, so we just started without you.
That's fine. I was already recording.
Oh, okay.
All right, Gucci.
So video games in correlation to business. Well, Laz, do you want to start?
Yeah. So I wrote down a few games here that I have, and we can just talk about them. We can say because I think we both have played most of these games, and we can talk about like kind of our experience with them. I'm gonna start off with probably one of like the old time greats, one of my favorites of all time. RuneScape. And I don't know who still plays RuneScape, if people still play RuneScape, but I think it had a huge effect on, at least I think it had a huge effect on what we do now. And just to go off like personally, what I think, like, so when I think back to the RuneScape days, right, this is a game where like you're like in the medieval ages, I guess, and you have to like make money, and you have to like kill dragons, and like you can fight people, and you have to like get armor and all this shit. So as far as RuneScape goes, I think that one of the ways, or one of the more common ways of making money, was merchanting or middlemaning or drop shipping. I remember like standing like where people would fight, and I would buy rune crossbows for like 10,000, and then I would sell them in the same exact place for 30,000. So I would make like a quick buck there, and it was just something I would do every once in a while. It wasn't like the main form of making money, but it was like, I guess, like one of the easiest. So I think that goes like pretty hand in hand with what we do now in drop shipping and e-commerce. Drop shipping mainly, I guess, because we're buying something for cheaper and then we're reselling it for like a higher price.
I remember, yeah, I would do that too. It was merchanting back then, that you buy rune crossbows at 10,000, you sell them at 20, and it was a lot of money. Actually, it's 100% ROI if you think about it.
I think more. Oh yeah,
no,
I sell them at 20.
Yeah, 100%.
I was selling at 30. I was expensive.
Yeah, you were expensive. I will sell them, and it was my main way of making money back then in the video game. And I had no idea that well, I mean, obviously back then I had no idea I was going into business, or I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. It was just a way of making money. Rona.
Oh shit.
But now that I think about it, in RuneScape, it was the most money that I ever made. It made more money than like chopping trees or like mining for ores and shit like that, which kind of goes hand in hand with real life. Like trading your time for money, which was chopping trees back then in RuneScape,
or picking flax.
Yeah, that was even
that was the grind
horrible.
right
That's McDonald's. Chopping trees was like you're a consultant or something. But it made less money. The thing that made the most money was when you had a little business operation going. And I even remember that people would have businesses, right? I would go on the forums, and they would have a whole mess of people who would chop trees, and they would buy it from them and then sell it at a higher price to other people. And what was in it for the people chopping trees was that they had a buyer automatically. They would chop the trees, had a buyer, so they just got their money up front. But this person had to chop no trees, and he had mass buyers. He would sell it to a whole mess of people, and they would make a whole crap load of money. So I think RuneScape actually, I can really relate RuneScape to our business and to real life, really, because again, merchanting, which is what we called it back then. I don't know why. I don't know what the term merchanting even means. I don't know. What does it mean?
I guess that you're like a merchant, like you would buy and sell stuff. So
yeah, that's what we called it, merchanting.
I think it's more like a middleman thing, right? Because you're just buying and selling.
Yeah, you literally had a business. I remember I would put in all my money into the rune crossbows, which was just like a crossbow, an expensive crossbow, and then I would just sell them. And it was the Spanish word for it is descarado, right? Because you
sleazy.
would, yeah, it was a little sleazy because you would stand in the same exact spot and you would say, I'm buying this for 10. And in the same exact spot, you would say, I'm selling these for 20. Like, it was, everyone knew what the fuck you were doing. There wasn't any, like, science behind it. And
No
it would
hidden
still
agenda.
work. Yeah, it would still work because there was always sellers and buyers and you were just connecting them. So, yeah, I think that was really good. I wasn't even thinking about any game that had anything to do with business. But RuneScape is a good example. Do you have any other games though?
Yeah. So
That
now
has
with
to do with
not
business?
necessarily with business, but I wrote down Call of Duty.
How the fuck did Call of Duty help you with business?
So I think that the way I looked at Call of
Realistically,
Duty,
how
Yeah, yeah.
did Call of
So-
Duty actually help you? I'm interested. in
Okay,
this one.
so the way that I think Call of Duty helps people with business is more. It's not from a like a cookie cutter, like, oh, you do this, and this in Call of Duty and you make more money. Because there's no point in that in Call of Duty. In Call of Duty, you're just trying to kill like your enemies. So I think how that helps you in business or in life or in any way is that you're gonna suck at first. Because I remember when I first started playing, I was like complete trash.
Mhm.
And then like the more you play, the more like you get to know the maps, the more like you get to like know like where people like hide and stuff, like where people go through. I think that like helps you. I mean, it's like anything else, right? Once you start learning, once you start like researching, once you do things enough, you become kind of like an expert in the field, right? So I think that's the way that Call of Duty helps you out. It kind of helps you in an expert way. I see Richard dying laughing over there.
Bro, that's actually like one of the most creative ways that I've seen trying to compare Call of Duty to business.
What do you think?
To be honest, I think Call of Duty. I think you can go either way, right? You can say oh, it helps you with business, or you can say that it doesn't because you spend more time doing that than actually like.
But you can say that about any video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for me, Call of Duty, like I would just fucking come to the office dead tired and not be able to do anything in here because I was playing so much Call of Duty.
Fair point.
That's for me.
I think I'm not even thinking about like right now because like you said, Leia, like I stopped playing Call of Duty for that same reason because I was just like tired every day and it wasn't healthy. But I think like, you know, growing up as a kid, like sometimes your parents are like, oh, like you shouldn't be playing video games, this and that, like video games are bad for you. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. In fact, like there's a lot of kids that are making a ton of money playing video games right now.
Oh yeah. Like if you find a way to monetize it. Here's the thing. I think if it's video games and business, I don't think you can like Call of Duty or like any of those games. It's not really like, I don't think they help you with business, but if you take the concept of video gaming and business, maybe you can say that it teaches you. And I literally got this idea today. I was talking to Dan De Silva because he's pulling an all-nighter. So maybe the idea of grinding something out until you achieve something, and then you implement that into your business. Like you grind something until you achieve it, and you don't give up until you achieve it. I think you can compare that, especially with your brother, that he set up a whole Excel sheet for his Call of Duty and getting his guns and the organized and way that he went about doing something in Call of Duty. If he were to implement that into a business, he doesn't have a business, but into a business, I think he would do really good. So I think that what video games can teach you is it's not like something, I guess, direct from the, like obviously like killing people in Call of Duty is not going to teach you anything, but really the characteristics that you acquire by playing video games and that grindiness of it, I think it can help you in business.
Yeah. Another thing.
Do you guys mind if I add an opinion?
Yeah, go for it.
So I don't know if you guys ever played. Do you guys know what Rainbow Six Siege is?
Yeah.
All right. So I was thinking, since you guys are saying that, in that game you kind of like delegate who gets who, like what part of the house, because it's like pretty much a team that goes inside a house and a team that has to get inside the house. So you have to like delegate to different people. Okay, like look, you're gonna be by the door. You're gonna be by the basement. Don't let anybody go through the basement, and I'll be like in the attic or something. So you have to like delegate people into doing certain things. So that kind of like has to do with business. You have to like tell people what to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys ever played SimCity 2. Like that's even more business thing. Like, you have to like know how to like, I guess, buy a certain residence area, and know if it's gonna like profit from there. So kind of like real estate as well. That's my little pointer there.
Yeah.
Oh, like Sims. Yeah,
Yeah,
like the life
Sims.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that video games are a lot better than what people make them out to be. I think that there's a lot that you can learn from video games.
You know, going back to your whole Call of Duty thing though, I think that video games for me helped me in business more when I was younger than now.
Of course, yeah.
Now-
like growing up, because now if you do it, like
If
now
you
you can
do
actually
it-
be applying what you learn. Like
We've
if you-
already acquired what we need to acquire from playing
Right,
video games. Like,
exactly.
we already have the grindiness mentality.
right,
So now when we play it, it doesn't help us. It helped us in the beginning.
right.
Yeah, but now, like when I play a video game, like yesterday I played Rocket League until 2 a.m. with Lewis.
I think it's when you're growing up. I think it's like as you like when you're a kid playing video games. I don't think necessarily does harm.
Yeah, and that's actually a touchy subject nowadays.
Yeah, of course.
Because some people are like, oh, it's better when kids will go outside and be riding their bikes rather than playing video games stuck at their house.
I think that's another thing that I think that, you know, it's like one of those like changing with the time arguments that,
Mhm.
oh, in my day and age, we didn't do this or that, or like my day and age, we were this. But I think every generation has like its pros and cons. I don't necessarily think that, you know, one was better than the other. I think it's just that times evolve, things change, and you just gotta like things like you have to learn how to adapt.
What do you guys think of video games making people more violent? Do you think that's true? That it has any?
Dude, I you know, that's funny you said that because I was actually about to say that don't you think that the kids nowadays are little bitches because of video games? Like I remember back then when I was growing up, right? I was like in an era where it was just transferring, right? Like from playing outside into video games. Now I think it's more video games. But back then, I would be playing outside all the time. I will fall, scrape myself up. I remember there was one time where I fell. I hit my mailbox and I had like a freaking ball right here. And my mom she started crying and everything. I would bleed all the time, fall, scrape myself. And like today, like kids are playing Fortnite in their rooms. And it's just like it does build something else that they weren't getting from back then. But you don't think they're becoming more fragile and more like sensitive? Like their feelings are a lot more sensitive. Like I remember, like I would play basketball and get into fights like at least once a week. I would get into a fist fight. Obviously, back then a fist fight wouldn't be like now. Now you would get hurt. When you're a little kid, you throw a punch, you don't even feel it. I mean, it was like stupid little fights that you would get into, but it would kind of like toughen you up for life. Versus now, people are more like into their feelings and be careful what you say and be careful with this because you might hurt someone. Versus back then, it was just like you say I think it was just different.
Yeah, it was like
A more physical engagement.
Yeah.
just like the rough truth, kind of like you were brought up like the harsh reality of life, whatever.
I think on the flip side though, like I think the fact that these kids are all communicating over the internet, like they're also a lot meaner to each other. Like at points, like when they're like trolling and like being like toxic, like a lot of these kids are like saying shit to each other that's just you would never say something like that to somebody in like real life. Like if you're just playing with somebody, but like on the internet you're just talking to a stranger and you feel like you're never gonna see this person, so you're just like, yo.
That's the thing. You become such a keyboard warrior where you're like this tough guy online and you're talking all this shit, and versus back then, people wouldn't do that. People were who they are. Like if you said to someone, like if you said something mean, you were ready. Like you were saying it. You're in front of them and you just said it. But versus now, you can literally say anything on the internet without any repercussion. Like you can
I
say
think
anything.
that's the product of the internet, though. That's the product of the internet. Like just because you're behind the screen, you don't see the person face to face. And I think it still happens today.
Yeah, it's a product of the internet, but like more like in video games, what we're talking about, right? Because that's where like a lot of shit talking happens in video games.
But bro, I mean, I don't know about you. I can't speak from your experience, but personally, like I'll go on live sometimes, and then there's people like they're just cursing, like I don't know if it's at me or they're just cursing because like they're pissed off. But I'll actively go and I'm like, all right, I'll bring you live. Let's see like what you have to say. And then they always decline. Like they'll never go live. And I think it's that thing that when you're behind like a screen typing something or saying something to someone, you're like in your little like comfort zone, right? But when you're like brought out to light, or where you're like put on the spot, like
There's
like
a risk.
yeah
There's a risk
yeah you're not gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
anything because you're gonna sound like an ignorant person that
Yeah.
no one wants to feel that way. So yeah, there's a lot of that.
You get embarrassed. Like,
Yeah.
like when you're just typing, it's just like a text. But when it's another human face to face, it's like, oh, like this is
Yeah.
not like.
This is another human being in front of me.
Yeah, I kind of got reminded. I saw this meme the other day when you were talking about the thing that when you were a kid, like you would get into fights and like nothing would happen.
Yeah.
I saw a meme the other day that it was like as a kid, and it's like, oh, you fall off the roof, like nothing happens, and now like I sleep in an awkward position, and I'm fucked up the next day.
Yeah. That's true. That is so true.
We're getting old, man. We're getting old.
Yeah, I think video games, it helps you, but then at the same time, like it's just people are becoming sensitive, man. I see it. We were talking about it with the whole politics, and I don't want to go into politics at all, but we were talking about politics and stuff yesterday, how sensitive people are becoming. And I don't think it was like that before. Before, people were a little rougher, but I think it was a little better too,
Yeah.
when people can be rough. And also, I think with roughness comes more honesty as well. And I
Yeah.
appreciate honesty. Like in today's world, like maybe someone won't say something to not hurt someone else's feelings, versus back then they will say it, but people can get better because it's just brutal, honest truth.
Right. And I think I mean, in any case, I think it's just, it all comes down to like being understanding. And I think if you're understanding and you can see things from other people's perspective, like what can you say that will like really hurt someone, you know? Like,
Bro, you'd be surprised. The other day I called, so my brother was Dylan was doing something, and I called him a little bitch. I said, Dylan, stop being such a little bitch, man. Come on. He got his feelings got hurt. But I remember, like, when I grew up playing with
does he play Call of Duty?
he plays Fortnite, so it's even worse.
Damn, how does that hurt his feelings?
That's the thing, because you can say, because
it's the person right next to you.
exactly, because someone on the game can call him a little bitch and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
But then when something happens in real life, so I grew up playing with a lot of older kids, and I think it's just because they were my neighbors. It wasn't by choice, really. They were just my neighbors, and I played with them. So it was very rough. Like, I would do something, or if I would get hurt, they'll be like, "Oh, Richard, stop being such a little bitch." And for me, it was just like, "All right, stop being a little bitch." Like that. But now in the younger generation, it's so much more sensitive. Like, you have to be careful with what you say and things like that. And I think a lot of it is video games. So where they're learning to grind, and they're learning how to, I think they do learn. That's the main thing I think you learn. Grindiness. Like, every video game, you have to grind that shit out.
Yeah, even Animal Crossing.
Yes,
I was
everything.
gonna talk about Animal Crossing too.
Yeah. Even Animal Crossing, you have to grind it out. Well, yeah, Animal Crossing is good. There's no cursing, there's no trash
But
talking.
you have to chop down a lot of trees.
Yeah.
You have to chop a lot of wood and mine a lot of rocks.
Yeah.
And fish a lot of fish.
Animal Crossing, there's just backstabbing. You invite one of your friends to your island, and then they take out your money trees.
I have a few other games here that I guess I'll just list them off real fast, and then we can say like, if like just whatever comes to mind, I guess. Grand Theft Auto.
That's a good one.
I mean, definitely like realistic in some ways.
Yeah, I think you do missions and you work for money,
Yeah.
and you can also
Even
steal.
though you do a lot of illegal activity,
Yeah.
which is probably not the best example, but I mean,
You know what's funny? That in video games, the illegal activities always make you more money than the legal ways, right?
what are they trying to promote, huh?
Yeah.
Josh was actually saying that in the next Grand Theft Auto, they're gonna make you fill up your car with gas.
Oh, for real?
No.
I don't know. He was just messing
Oh.
around.
I told him that because in the new Red Dead Redemption or the latest one, you have to like be aware of how your horse is. So if it's too hot, you have to put on like more warmer clothes, and if it's too cold, you have to put more clothes. It's like so ridiculous. It's like I don't want to play a game to remind myself that this is real life. Like I want to play a game to free myself from my daily life.
But I think that's where we're going with video games. I think they're getting like more and more realistic, like with the whole VR thing. Like soon, I think you'll be like able to get like immersed into like a whole other world, and people I think are like, that's where we're heading, I think. And I think that can be a huge step also towards like education and kind of like,
Yeah, VR.
Richard, how would you play Rocket League like if you're driving? Like for example, there's a VR game for Rocket League, and you're inside the car. Would you play
No,
it?
I like video games that are video games. You get what I mean?
But like, would you be in a Rocket League car? Like, would you play Rocket League? Inside?
I would. No, I would. But I do tend, like when games start coming out with updates, I just make them more like all the NBA games. I don't buy them anymore. It's too much. Like you press. Back then, you would press left and your guy would go left instantly. But now you press left and you see his muscles moving, and then he has to like step.
There's
right?
like a little lag.
Yeah, there's like lag, like real life. But I don't like real life. If I wanted to do that, I would just play basketball, real life.
Right.
I want to play a video game. But I think that's just gonna happen. Like I'm sure that my dad likes Atari.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, Atari used to be the shit.
Your son's gonna be like, damn, you don't like the new 2K? What's wrong with you, old man?
Yeah, exactly.
3K.
It's just a generational thing. I do sound a little robotic. I hear what you mean, but you sound fine.
sound
Do I
fine.
sound good on your thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's just these mics with the
Yeah.
headphones. Guys, it's the first podcast we do with the headphones. Let us know if you guys, I don't know if the quality changed at all, but I hope it helped. All right, we got a couple more games here. World of Warcraft.
That
I never like, that's more for you because I never played the game.
yeah, that one's good. There's no, well, actually there is like merchant team, but I never really got into it.
5 more. 25.
5 more minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we got 5 minutes left.
Cinco.
Yeah, it's good. It's a grindy game. I think all games, like when you mention any game, I think just the grindiness really helps you with business. The whole staying up all night, like working in the game, now you can implement that into your business. I think it's good.
Dope.
I think it gives you like it builds good character in that sense.
Yeah. And the last game I have here, I don't know if you've ever played it. It's called Fallout.
I've never played it. It's like a shooting game, right?
It's like a
The survival game.
yeah, survival.
Yeah, I never played it.
I think it's really cool what this game does because every like action you take in the game has like effects that like change the storyline. So you really have to like be careful with what you do like at the beginning of the game because it like will affect it. Like if like for example, and this is just like one example, if you kill like a character in the game, then like you can't do the missions anymore. Like one of the side of the missions, like they're done. So it's like there's a lot of like steps at the beginning that you have to follow so that it's like a trickle effect. But I mean, I guess that affects that's similar to business, right? Like you have to make sure that you don't fuck something up at the beginning because it's gonna hurt you down the line.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you think that too much video games nowadays is making like the generation a little softer?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if we both agree on that, how do you think that will impact business leaders of the future? Like, I'm not talking about the future like us, because I think we're still like going into the future. I'm talking about the people coming after us, like our little brothers. How do you think it would impact them going into business if they wanted to start their own business? How would they run their organizations, and how successful would it be? Versus now the outliers, which are going to be the little kids who grew up like us, a little more rough around the edges, and they're going to be competing against them. And we have like 4 minutes. So
yeah, that's a big one to spring on at the end of the podcast.
Keep recording, right? I just press record again. It's not a problem.
All right. It's interesting. I to be honest, I think that like it's really hard to answer. I think it's gonna be very, very different. How it's gonna affect the business leaders of tomorrow, I don't know. I mean, the way that I see things going, it's all like everything's gonna be kind of like online. Maybe there's gonna be a lot less face-to-face meetings. Like, you know, when people do like business, some people like to be face-to-face. I think in businesses of tomorrow, it's just gonna be like we'll get like on a call, like on a Zoom call or something, or maybe even less than that.
Right.
So I think that's probably going out the window. And I mean, partially in some ways it already has, and it's been exposed. Like even now, like with like Corona and everything that's going on, that has been even exposed even more. Where now a lot of the big tech companies and all the like a lot of big companies, everyone's working from home. So I think that's in a way that's gonna be like what changes a lot. Do we still have time, or are we done?
We have 1 minute 30.
Okay.
I can keep going. Let me just cut and keep going.
But yeah, I think that's how it's gonna change. I think, not to toot like my own horn here or anything, but I think e-commerce is gonna be like a huge booming industry, and a lot of the people who are in e-commerce now are gonna be like the next like big world industry leaders, I guess you can say. Yeah, I think that's how it's gonna go. I mean, like you see, all like a lot of e-commerce big companies that started like on Instagram, stuff like that. They're becoming huge. So I think that's only gonna get bigger.
Pause for a second. Cutting one. Cutting again. Cutting two. And recording again. Alright, you're good.
I had to reset the cameras there.
All right.
Right, so you don't think it'll have a big effect then? Like, if most business is done online, then it doesn't really matter.
It's hard to tell. I mean, I think that we're already seeing like a projection of that. As far as like little kids and stuff, I don't know.
I think that there would be a lot more. Do you imagine like keyboard warriors for business though? Like
what you're saying, like they just have
like fuck you, like cursing and stuff, like video games, because you are never gonna see that person. Imagine you go into business with someone, but you're never gonna see them. So it doesn't matter. It's so easy to block out a person. It's not like knowing them in real life. Like online, you block them on your contact list. You block them everywhere,
so they don't
and
exist.
they do not exist to you. You just killed them in your head.
Right.
So it's so much easier. I think it's gonna be so much easier for them to just be little savages, I guess.
Which could be good or bad, because who wants to work with someone who operates that way? But I mean, and maybe that's gonna be the new norm. So like,
that's interesting.
It's just gonna be different.
Oh wait, that camera's not rolling.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be different for sure.
You know, our next podcast should be on capitalism versus socialism.
Oh shit! I am not gonna support. Yeah, Richard's earlier. Oh, I'm not gonna talk.
No,
about
not in this one, but I think that would be a good topic.
Well, who's gonna argue for socialism? Because I'm not. I don't know.
We'll get Nick in here.
Depends what you mean.
Wait, but Nick is. Damn, you called Nick a socialist?
No, but he argues for it every once in a while. So.
Yeah. All right. On that note, I think we'll wrap this one up. All right, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is the ECOM Profit Podcast episode. I don't know which one, but 12.
Oh, we've only done 12?
No, I think this is season 2, episode 12. I don't know why we're doing these seasons.
Why did we do seasons?
And why we're doing?
Because we stopped.
No, and you know what I thought was hilarious as well. Our episodes are 0, like 3 digits, and I was like looking. I'm like, why do we have 3? Like, it's not like we have like 100 episodes or anything like that. But we will at some point, hopefully. Yeah. Johnny's way ahead of us there. But yeah, guys, if you guys enjoyed these podcasts, make sure that you give us 5 stars wherever you're listening to this. It really helps us out, get the word out there. Guys, these are just like, us just being genuine with you guys. Whenever we think of like a topic, we just come on here, talk about it, trying to do at least one of these a week. And honestly, it's just to give you guys information, give you guys a little behind the scenes action. So yeah.
So comment, like, and subscribe.
And boom, there you
have it. So we can keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it anyways, but just please, man, like the video.
All right, guys. Love you guys. Take care. Success and blessings. Bye-bye.